She's a professor of computer science at the University of Akron, and she'll be talking about Don't Look Now, Malicious Image Spam.
Hi. Thank you. I come from a department of about 8 faculty. It's small, a master's granting only, so we're not really heavy into research, and so therefore I like to involve students, and we don't do groundbreaking research, but we certainly have fun doing it. So this particular research area has been going on with me for about 6 years. Started with a friend named Jason who was extremely active, but as a result had some knee injuries and had to have it replaced and take some time off. So the irony of this is he was on Vicodin when he had this Vicodin haze, induced thought as he was trying to clean on his inbox, which I envy him for that. So he was looking at the images being sent 6 years ago, the spam versus the ham, in case everyone knows what spam is, but some people look at me funny when I say ham. There are very good algorithms, and don't hit me with a ball, for regular spam, because I don't get near the spam in my inbox that I used to. At least the University of Akron has a good one. I get a good proof point email maybe once a week to make sure some poor student didn't get caught up using the wrong words when he sends me an email. I thought it was funny though when I just grabbed this for the slide that someone had lots of photos, and I thought, boy, you have no idea how many photos I have. So these images are OCR detectable. They are images not typewritten, so they do have to be OCR scanned, but they're so nice and clean and neat, there's no issue having these caught. After that, spam images took a different road and tried to be OCR defeatable, and the top left, you can now, but they would play with color schemes and the waviness. I'm not sure that one's still not OCR defeatable. Not even sure the point about that one, but the next thing that came up with images were signature based. So these really were messing with the OCR readers, and they would change the colors oh so subtly, and we know how many millions of color schemes you can have, so how many you can get between these. And you can't see a lot between one and the other with the eye, but the hash is different, or the signature is different, so it's harder to catch them. So what Jason and I talked about were artificial neural networks, and we went out and got ourselves a free, nice one called FAN, and a really eager grad student, and we started playing with artificial neural networks to determine ham from spam, see if we could train it. And we scoured our inboxes. Suddenly we wanted spam. It's kind of weird. And we started asking our parents for spam and our friends for spam, and they think we're weird. And we get some pictures that are not spam, and we set up some training data, and we try to train our neural network to see the difference between them, and then we go out and we test it. And we did pretty good, about 82%. Not startling, but the idea of using the ANN back then was kind of groundbreaking for this type of application. So we were excited, and we gathered up our data and made some pretty pie charts and went up to MIT, to the 2009 MIT Spam Conference and presented. And I said, one of our problems with this is I don't have enough spam images. I've got lots of spam, but they don't have the pictures I want. And fortunately for me, that weekend, a gentleman named Bob Bruin was there, who co-founded with his son Newjon, which is No Junk Backwards. He said, boy, do I have a payload for you. He has an application that people can sign up for and automatically forward their spam to a server farm in a barn in Vermont. And he wrote a script for me that it would strip off the day's pictures, any photos that came with it, zip them up and send them to a hopefully secure server, password protected, so I don't end up getting a knock on the door from the FBI for letting an 8-year-old in California see my pornographic images. So he fed me spam from April 2008 till March 2013, and then he got sick and he passed away this past fall, but he was a great guy and gave me all these pictures. So this is what I would, mostly I can look at or was looking at for many years. Not every day. It gets very monotonous and had a few other things to do for my job. So we found an interesting thing because at first I got all excited and then I got all not excited and said, wow, they're all the same picture. But hash-wise, they're not. It's that signature technique. They are different, and that had some implications depending on how I was looking at it over the years. This poor grad student, I made her count because I was like, how many images are we getting, really? Unique, after she wrote scripts to clean out the duplicates. And in my original proposal that I wrote for this talk, I said, I have over 10,000 spam images, which is true. I was afraid if I told the truth, they might not believe me, but this alone, without counting the past 2 years, I have that many images. Today I have about 400,000. Through spring of 2013, I haven't actively collected any yet, or since then, so about 400,000. So I really didn't need any more photos from that botnet. It was fun to look at these trends. If you'll recall, Wacolo got shut down in November of 2008, and for hosting criminal online activities. And, you know, shockingly, they relocated from California to Eastern Europe, and it picked right back up again. So I knew that spam had changed, but the images obviously went too. So in spam, I mean, there were a number of botnets that got shut down that we tracked. So, all right, let's look at categories of spam. It was a matter of just not knowing with all this rich data coming at me faster than I could even begin to absorb it, what was going on. So we thought, well, let's just look at the types of spam. Unlike Target and Walmart, you don't see these in September or October. You know, they're taking out the Halloween displays and putting up Christmas. You really don't see these until December. Shockingly, in January, you see exercise equipment and weight loss programs. These show up in February. What's pervasive all year long are your financials, gambling, software, retail, and pharmaceuticals. Back to Jason's Vicodin habit, or not habit, but anyways. It's the reason he was interested in this. I want to guesstimate pharmaceuticals store about 70% of what I got. So, all right, now looking not so much at trends, just what do I get? People are like, so how bad is it? I actually have a letter on file in the chair's office saying, yes, I have porn, and don't fire me. Although one of the system administrators challenged me that I probably don't have the largest porn collection there, which is kind of disturbing. So, anyways, you see a lot of women. Most are a lot of headshots. Most have their clothes on. Some like to advertise a little more skin than others. There are also a lot of men, not so much in past years. 2010 was an interesting year. You get pictures of men from the neck to the knees, and no, I didn't put them on there because they don't wear any clothes. And when you'd see the same picture because of that bit change, so seeing one was, you know, whatever. But then when I, zoomed out to scroll down through, I get this film strip effect, and I'd be like, I really need to go eat lunch and walk away from this, so. So, yes, I do actually have some kind of hardcore pictures, really not that many. They're icky, they're just icky. And this is a real one that I did cover up. My students chastised me for not showing it. No. Not a lot, though. They do want you to pay for it. So lots of phone numbers, websites, so they're teasers, I guess. But I surprisingly don't have what I really thought I would. And yet this is really pretty much the tamest thing past the pharmaceuticals that I've run across. There was, in the fall, you tend to get a lot of political stuff, and not even United States because of elections. You just get these political spams. And going back to that, I didn't post these up here because they are disturbing. There was a month or two we got a lot of hate images with actual photos, not this type of doctored up stuff, of spray painted walls with hate messages targeted at certain cultures and groups. So I didn't really care for that. It was, you just start frowning, going, the world is bad. Until I hit in fall of 11 and again in fall of 12, and it actually caused me to walk away from my corpus for quite a while. That's actually Shanti, our snow leopard, at the Akron Zoo in Guapo at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I would not ever put these up. They were poaching and animal cruelty pictures that I was absolutely not expecting. And being an animal lover, it was like, wow, I felt like someone actually hit me in the stomach when I saw them, and I'm trying to take them out so my grad students don't see them. What really got me, though, was not these women. They were women that were not selling themselves willingly. And there was a human trafficking involvement that really caught me off guard. I was expecting the pornography. So I actually ended up backing away for a while because some of the pictures made me not sleep very well, so because I felt hopeless to do anything about it. I only ever have come across one case of soft child porn. I was very nervous about that in the beginning. It happened in March of 2011, or that the pictures came, and I don't get IP addresses the way Bob strips them, and he had no way to account back to them other than maybe by day. But I took them to the City of Akron Police Department, to a specialist down there who said, no, it's not illegal, nothing you can do about it. It was a series of 7 pictures. I had more than, you'd get copies, of 2 Japanese children, maybe 5 years old, fully dressed in from mildly to extremely inappropriate positions, but it wasn't illegal, so, and it made me sad, but, all right. Images come with packages, surprise packages. This is not from my spam corpus. This is from Microsoft, where they found these in the wild, these 2 things where you have a PNG with what looks at the bottom like random noise, and what it is, if you actually follow the instructions and rename it and open it with an HTML application, yay, you have JavaScript ready to execute. We didn't find any of these. The reason we went searching is we had a lot of this stuff, and we don't have JavaScript in these files. You see them here in some of our women. And this is a typical way that gets shown, the duplications, but what they're trying to do is mess with the headers so that the signature-wise it can get through and they can still get their pictures through. Okay, one thing we did find, lots of these for a while, were images that don't show up, so I figured, okay, there's something corrupt in there, but for some reason it just bothered me. I have no idea how I stumbled on this. I kept messing with it, looking at it, opening up different ways, looking through the binary, trying to unpack it, and then one day I unzipped it. And there was a folder in there from this image. And then if you unzip that, we have a UPS label EXE, and one I thought was funny is Hitler actually uses FedEx. But lots of these things, this spring I'm actually going to have my class do some reverse engineering on those. And you get these kinds of images which are straight out malware that, EVG, ESET, whatever, will catch and has an absolute fit about. So I work mostly on a laptop that has no internet access, whatever. One thing we did find, when we found one of these, a grad class was working with some of this in October of 2013. The 2 that we identified, one had been around for a couple of years but didn't pop up, where today they do pop up when you try to open them. But the other one it tries to do some key logging and some, steal your password credentials, and then it drops a rootkit in there for you. We found on a Tuesday, and it didn't show up on Team Simru or any of these other kind of grassroots websites that keep the hash of new malware. It didn't show up until Friday, so the students thought that was freaking cool. Okay, so finally, when I'm staring at all these pictures, which is stressful, I have to, anytime I work with the class, I have to remove the bad stuff. I don't want to, you know, they are undergrads, most of them. And I'm staring at these pictures, and I'm staring at the sailboat, and I just don't get it. But I'd gone to a SANS training class a couple years before that, where they talked about steganography, and I never heard that word before. So I thought, wow, I wonder if there's steg in there. Which some people don't know what it is. I assume probably a larger percent here know what it is than others, but you have some type of cover file, and you embed something in it. Lots of ways to do it, depending whether it's a photo or an audio file or a movie file, whatever. Lots of techniques, and there's lots of free tools out there. And then once it's embedded, the person can't really detect it unless you embedded it stupidly. And we have a lab, 2 labs on this, dealing with different types of tools. So I took my class, and I said, hey, let's have fun with this. It was an undergrad class. And I said, here's some pictures from my camera. My camera does not have any internet access. These don't have steg in them. And they went out, and we got some of the steg analysis tools off the web, scanned them because they always come with free Trojans, and said, let's see what these guys think. Well, there weren't that many false positives, actually, with what we were doing. And then I said, okay, now let's take some of the popular steganography tools and different pictures, you know, from small to big, and let's embed them. And I broke them up in groups so they did different parts of the project. I said, let's do some steg analysis on it. And actually, Outguess kind of is a pretty transparent tool, so you don't want to use that one because it seemed like there were a lot of steg analysis tools that picked up on Outguess versus JSteg and Hide and Seek and a bunch of others. But then I said, so I have these cool images from the wild that get sent around from God knows where. So we're going to just do a steg analysis. Guys, don't get excited. Nils Provost at the University of Michigan did a paper in 2001 where he took 2 million eBay images and declared 0% steg, and declared that there was no steg in the wild. So at 11:30 at night during this project, I'm doing some online office hours with data structure students, and I get an email from a student in this class who says, hey, I found some steg. And I went, oh my God, but you didn't open it, right? And he goes, no, but it says it's Outguess. I'm like, okay, a lot of these say it's Outguess. And he goes, yeah, but Outguess said it's Outguess. And I went, oh, okay. He goes, but it's password protected. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm going to lose my job if there's child porn inside this. I mean, you know, I don't know what's hidden in these things. So we're having this conversation through email. And he's like, what password should we try? So we try password, and we try God, and we try 10786, Natalium 34. And thankfully, none of them work. And then I can hear it clicking in his head over the internet. He goes, Natalium, and it cracked. And it said, oh yeah, here's what's inside. Thank God for me, I'm still employed. Note to self about these experiments in the wild. This is what we found, the top file. No idea what it is. I can't tell you how many applications we tried to run it through and open, and the drum roll of what we found in the wild. And by the way, that really is her. I spent about 2.5 hours. I'd saved the steg over the years, could not find her, and I was like, no, I gotta really bring to this conference the real picture. Anyways, this is what we found. And I suspect it's a key for something else, to, you know, to open another application or something, to spill out something that I don't want my students to see. But anyways, it's pretty cool to have them work on these projects, and I've enjoyed having all my pictures for the most part. So, and I made it through an entire talk with no bullet points. Academics are always scary when they get up because of their PowerPoint slides. But any questions? Yes. What percentage had hidden things in them? That depended on, okay, you mean in the wild? Higher than, I think there were an awful lot of false positives. You know, maybe 34 to 50%, which I didn't believe. I really didn't believe. And we actually tried to open some of these that said Outguess. So I wasn't initially worried when the student said, oh, this has Outguess. I'm thinking, yeah, they all say that. JSTAG and is it JP Hyde or something? It just was higher than I believed. I hope. Any other questions? All right. Okay. Thanks.